Okay, this is show 3 of the stories from Storyteller Greg. I'm Storyteller Greg. The purpose of these stories is to help us think about choosing assumptions that we make about ourselves and the world around us that most help us to care. Well, mostly that's what it's about. I don't know if today's stories are going to do that so much. I have a story, a song, a story. And my wife usually throws something at it if I sing it in front of her, and I don't know exactly why. Except, anyway, she's not here, so I don't expect to see any shoes flying at me in the middle of the thing. It goes something like this. You see, we're sitting around having conversation, and I say, Leslie, we never go anywhere. And that's when Leslie throws the shoe at me right about there. Says, yeah, right. And that's what this song is about, is where we're going. It's an incredible song. It's an incredible concept. It goes like this: I am an astronaut hurtling through space. 1.3 million miles per hour is the speed that I embrace. I travel, my spaceship is a cornucopia of life, that plus a trillion stars. I travel with 8 billion other astronauts, and not a single one of us has the slightest clue where it is we are. We don't know where we're going, and we won't know when we arrive. Our children's children might see it, but we won't even be alive. Unless, of course, reincarnation happens to be real. And unless, of course, space time is just a tad bit surreal. Any way you look at it, we get to choose what it is we want to assume about life. Choose those things that most help us to care, because we are astronauts hurtling through space. 1.3 million miles per hour is the speed that we embrace. Now, that particular figure, that's the story, by the way. That particular figure is how fast the galaxy is moving away from I don't know, the center of all galaxies or whatever like that. But then there's the fact that um, our sun is in the galaxy and it's spinning around at some incredible miles per hour. Our planet swinging around the sun, I think, travels at 64,000 miles per hour. And if we were living on the equator, we would be traveling at 1,000 miles per hour just as we spin around on the axis on the Earth. So I don't have a lot to complain about when I say I don't go on any great adventures. Because honest to goodness, I have no clue where it is we're going. And I have no clue how we'll know when we arrive. I hope there's reincarnation. I like the idea. I don't like the idea that we reincarnate in order to grow. It sounds a little strange to me. But what I like is the idea that we reincarnate because we think it's interesting. We're looking for the next interesting project to spend a lifetime on. In fact, I'll be dealing with that in a musical that I wrote called Thumbs or No Thumbs. I don't know if I'm going to start telling that story right off the bat or not. You know, I've been telling stories about when I was 15 and when I was 16. And I got to thinking that that was it in terms of high school. But I completely forgot about the fact that in my senior year, I had conned some of my friends into going on to the great adventure to the Grand Canyon. Now, see, we had a spring break coming up, and the thought was, let's go on an adventure. At least that was my thought. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if the great namer named me the adventurer. I just went on a lot of adventures in my life. But anyhow, I did find my best friend, the school principal's son, um, and a friend of mine called John Faust, who, interestingly enough, in the grades 8th, 7th, and 8th, had a tremendous influence on me. I don't think John knows that. I'm not too sure I ever told him that. But anyhow, this group of folks, me, my best friend, the principal's son, and John Faust, we went to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Now, I had a choice of adventures. We were going to choose to go look for the lost Dutchman gold mine, or we were going to go um, to explore the myth of the little horses of the Grand Canyon. I'll tell you how that started. I was watching one of those Rocky Bullwinkle series. They were talking about one of the series was about the tiny horses that were in the Grand Canyon. Got me to wondering if there was any reality to it at all. This is going to be an interesting story. If you don't believe it, I don't blame you. And I can't prove it one way or the other. But we ended up deciding to go explore the myth of the little horses of the Grand Canyon. And we got to the Grand Canyon. We walked on down, set up a campsite there, and no little horses. In fact, there was only one horse, a beautiful, beautiful black horse that the caretaker would ride around and just make sure everything was safe there. We spent 2 or 3 days there. Didn't locate anything about the little horses, and we were proceeded to getting ready to leave the canyon. Now, just before we started our adventure, my father comes home one day, says, "Greg, I have no idea how on earth I found this, but look." In it, there was a picture of a man all dressed in buckskin, and he was carrying a horse over his shoulders. And underneath it, it said, one more of the great mysteries of the Grand Canyon. Didn't say anything more about it. Well, here we are now on the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and I got to talking to the caretaker. I said, "Oh, we're down here to check out the myth of the little horses." He says, "Oh, that's no myth." He says, back around 1920s, 1930s, a movie company had commissioned him. He'd been born and raised on the canyon and took river raft trips up and down. His whole life was centered on the Grand Canyon. And he said somewhere around the 1930s or late 1920s, I don't know what it was, a movie company had commissioned him to pull up one of the little horses. When he went down there, he found an old mare. He said, "That picture that you saw that you were telling me about, that was me. I was carrying out this old mare." And how they use it in the movies, he said he didn't know. But he did say that the horse, when it died, it was stuffed and kept in some bar. I want to say Kingman, Arizona, but I've never found the bar and I never found the stuffed horse. I have no idea if any of this is correct or if it's just stories that a guy was telling to some kids on the bottom of the canyon. But I got to admit, he did seem like the man that was in the picture. And the idea that he had been born and raised on the canyon and knew the canyon inside out. I was fascinated with the Indians that lived down in the bottom of the canyon, what their life was like. Never did find out anything about it. Anyway, that's a story. What on earth that has to do with carrying, I don't know, except for the fact that I think we come on down to adventure, to experience, to explore. And some of the experiences that we choose to experience are very rough. They're almost unkind, but I think we choose to do them. And so we have these paints, I call them paints. They're all the events and the thoughts that shape who we are. And then we make pictures from them. And the picture is, of course, our life. But it doesn't have to be ugly. I mean, maybe we have a bunch of ugly events that have happened in our life, and they're all part of the paints that we use in order to create a life. But we can create something beautiful, no matter how horrible or ugly the events might be that led to it. I'm wondering if I have a story about that, and I can't think of one. Maybe I should write a story. I did talk about the namer, though, and I think I'm going to go ahead and tell you that story. Well, he searched for her in the mountains, and he searched for her in the plains. He searched for her in the desert and the land where it always rains. He had to find the namer. He had to know what he should do. He'd keep on searching for the namer until his life was through. Her song was, "I am the namer, 'cause naming's what I do. If I'm around you long enough, I'll speak your name to you. I know your destiny, I know your rising star. I know your greatness and just who you are, just who you are." Well, when he started searching, folks would call him kind, but with all the searching came frustration, and he slowly began to lose his mind. He realized that the frustration was starting to eat up his soul. So as he searched, he tried to love, and in loving, he became whole. Her song was, I am the namer, because naming's what I do. If I'm around you long enough, I'll speak your name to you. I know your destiny and I know your rising star. I know your greatness and just who you are. He never did find the namer, and in searching he'd grown old. He knew he was slowly dying as he knelt beside the road. A young girl came and held him as he passed on to the living light. She held him and she rocked him and she cried with all her might. A stranger walked by and asked her if she happened to know the old man's name. She said, oh, yes, his name was the Searcher, 'cause in searching lay his fame. Her song is, I am the namer, 'cause naming's what I do. If I'm around you long enough, I'll speak your name to you. I know your destiny, I know your rising star. I know your greatness and just who you are. Just who you are. You know, that's the story. But I think it's vital, or at least if we're choosing assumptions that we make about ourselves and the world around us, we can choose to believe that there is a kind of destiny, but it only shapes things a little bit. And then we can get creative with that destiny and do wondrous, marvelous things. Or we can succumb to the terror and the horror of some of the paints that make up our lives, and we don't do anything really spectacular with them. I would encourage you to take on assumptions that most help you to care. And if the belief in destiny is one that helps you, take it on. If it gets in your way, get rid of it. Or maybe you prefer the dance, a dance between, ooh, I have a song about the dance, but yeah, I can do it, I think. I almost got time. I'm going to do the song. I'm going to do the story. It goes like this. He wondered about the sorrow. He wondered about the pain. He wondered why a loving God would let us be insane. Oh, the changes, oh, the changes. Some folks will make their changes easy, and some of us we're going to make our changes hard. But we all got to make our changes as we reach for the stars. Well, he started to learn the dancing and he danced round and round and round. And pretty soon he was dancing high up off the ground. And now he reaches us and touches us with our sorrow. Now he reaches us and touches us with our pain. Now he reaches and touches us whenever we're insane. Oh, the changes. Oh, the changes. Now, someday, you and I, we too, we're going to learn the dancing. And we're going to dance round and round and round. And someday, you and I, we too, we're going to learn the dancing and we will leave the ground. Oh, the changes. Oh, the changes. Some folks will make the changes easy. And some of us, we're going to make our changes hard. But we all got to make our changes as we reach for the stars. Well, that's it. That's my show for today. This will be show number the third one. I hope you're enjoying them. I hope they're touching you. And more than anything, I hope you're taking a look at the things you assume about yourself and the world around you and take on assumptions that most help you to care, that most help you to make caring, loving decisions. And that we choose leaders and we are leaders who embrace caring and we withdraw our support from leaders who embrace disregard. Anyway, you have a great life, a wonderful, wonderful life, you and your entire family. I'll catch you the next time around. This is Storyteller Greg saying, I'll see you later. Goodbye.